What is up, you guys? Welcome to the Connect 0007 podcast, and I am your host, Thaddeus Sims. And in this particular podcast, as promised and as told to you guys, I will keep everything raw and just share and just keeping it raw. So the title of this podcast is Connecting with Others During Death. And I was a bit hesitant on doing this for some time now, but my intuition strongly was telling me a few days ago, you need to talk about this subject. And we are going to do that today. So before diving into this podcast, I have to share my little fun fact. So apparently a group of pugs is called a grumble. And I see those little dogs, but I never would have thought if I seen a pack of them like, how do I say that right? Like, oh, look, it's a grumble, or look at all those grumble. I think I'm saying that so wrong, but hey, there's grumble over there. I don't know, but that was an interesting little fun fact. I never pay attention to those little dogs, but hey, now you know. Okay, so let us really dive into this subject, which is like, so uncomfortable for people or almost like taboo to talk about. And I've noticed that I've personally experienced things when it's like when someone loses someone, it's like uncomfortable or like you don't know what to do. And I just feel like we really wasn't taught like what to say or what to do with that. So I'm going to be the first, I guess, to go into it because I have my own personal experience with it. So I've broken this up into just 4 points to go over. And I also have my notes so I can stay on track because I know this can be a very emotional subject, especially for a lot of people. So bear with me. All right. So the first point is we're going to remove death from our vocabulary and we're going to substitute transition. And you do that because death, when you look up the vocabulary, it means like the end of life. But when you look at transition, it just means to move from one state to another. And I bring that up because it's really your perception on the matter on this just particular subject. So just transitioning. And just to give you an example with that is when someone tells you, I had a death, it's just like this, the words is coming from, I had this extreme loss. This person's not here anymore. And then when you have a transition, it's just this person moved on from one form to another. Now, I will, say that a lot of people don't care to believe in life afterwards or whatnot. And that's okay. But, I personally look at it as, we're all energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. So it's a transition. The person moved on from this physical form to another form, a lighter form. Now, why I say this is important is because my mother, she passed away not even a year ago. She passed away in October and she had pneumonia. So for those who don't know, me and my mom, we were we still are, but we were at the time when she was here, we were super, 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 super close. Like it was to the point where if my mother, like when I was a kid, if me and my mom got into an argument, the whole day was ruined. And she knew it. She knew she was going to get a call from the school because she was my mommy. She, like I wasn't right with my mom. So F the world. I don't care, So I just acted up. The teacher wanted me to do work and I didn't want to do it. The teacher asked me what's wrong and I'm like, nothing, like leave me alone. And they would call her and be like, I don't know what was wrong with him. He wasn't himself, blah, blah, blah. It would just get crazy. And I just literally I wasn't having it. And not only that, but, growing up, it was always just me and my mom. My father wasn't really in the picture until about after 7, I believe. So it was just always me and my mom and stuff like that. So we had a very, very close relationship. So when I say transition instead of death, when my mom did transition, I didn't take it as, oh, this is it. My mom is this is, I'm not going to see her again or whatnot. And that perspective for me was just, my mom just went from a different form to another. And she's not here physically, but I know, her spirit lives on and things like that. So that perspective, I would say, greatly helped me during that time of her transition from the physical to the spiritual. Now, the second part. So I'm going to kind of go, backwards from a personal into a, way that you guys could communicate it to someone else who may be experiencing it. So the second part is when it happens, what to do and how to communicate. So when someone tells you a person passed, work on not saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. Let's switch that up to instead say something in your own words. You don't have to say this verbatim, but in your own way. When they say, hey, so-and-so, they passed, and you say, I will not say I'm sorry for your loss because you didn't lose anything. You gained memories, lessons, love, and so much more that you can share with those around you. And that's a gain. And he or she will live on forever because of you sharing. Now, that's kind of bold, but when you're doing that, you're giving that person strength in that time that they're really going through it. And again, I know that's long, but you can say it in your own way. Just like, hey, I'm not going to say I'm sorry because you gained so much from them. I'm sure that Karen gave you so much love. She taught you so much thing. If you really know them, she taught you patience. She taught you this. That's something that you can carry on and share that and teach that with others. And that way you have a gain because of what she taught you. You're sharing that with someone. You're actively carrying out what that person taught you. So you didn't lose anything from them whatsoever. In fact, if you really look at it, you gained so much more from them that you can share that with others. Now, yes, the person won't be there with them anymore. And, we know that, but that person gave them so much more that they can actively share with others, like I said. And that person lives on with that. The person doesn't die. They gave you stuff. You can share that with others. They live on through that. Now, the third thing is let the person have their time and tell them it's okay to handle it in their own process. Now, for me, I've had death. Now, I'm just going to be blunt. I've had death in the family, obviously, before my mother. The first one I can remember was my grandmother on my father's side. But at the time, I was just very, very young. And I kind of experienced, it was kind of my first weird experience with death, I would say, that kind of caused me to be a bit detached. Was my grandmother passed, but on her deathbed, she was asking for me. And I don't know if I was in school. I don't know where me and my mom was, but she wasn't able to contact us. And when we found out later, she had already passed, and they had told us that, she passed. And I don't think my mom wanted me to go to the hospital or bring me there to see her because I was very young. So, came time for the funeral. Now, this is just from my personal experience, what I experienced. So, others probably who were there probably can add on to it. But for my experience as a kid, when I first got there, I think my mom kind of told me, her best way that she may look like she's sleeping or something along the lines. And I went in there. So as soon as I went through, we went through the door. I remember everybody staring at me, and I could hear them, oh my gosh, that's little dad, or that's little dad. I could hear the whispers and people just staring at me. So I felt super uncomfortable. Like, why is everybody staring at me? So I had to go up there to my grandma, and I seen her. But at the time, I didn't understand. So, but also I felt awkward because everyone was staring at me. So I guess during time that caused me to develop a kind of like a a detachment because I didn't want to feel uncomfortable anymore. And even after her, there was other experiences in transition with different family members, but I wasn't really close to them, so it didn't really hit me as it did with my mother. So it was a very interesting process. But moving forward to recent with my mom, a few months before my mom passed, my intuition was telling me you need to plan a personal trip to Washington. And this was months in advance. So I paid for the ticket, got the Airbnb, things like that. And so, moving forward, every day, I'm not lying to you guys, every day after I booked that trip, I kept getting signs for Washington. Everywhere I went, Washington. Every time I talked with someone, Washington came up. Old people that I did not communicate with, I was like, oh, I remember him. Their profile, where they live, in Washington now. I want you guys to really get this. I went to go meet someone I never met, and we were talking about financial stuff. I happened to yawn, stretch, and look up, and the sign says Seattle, Washington. That's actually where I was going. I love the Smith family, Will Smith and his kids and stuff like that. So his first son, Trey Smith, I just went on Instagram, and I guess he was doing some thing for a game or whatnot. And of course, his location is Seattle, Washington. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my gosh, I keep getting signs every day. And it was so strong that the signs would be they would come close to home, to the point where I didn't think about it. I wake up, I go to get me some agave syrup out of my cabinet, and my brother, he bought coffee. And of course, the coffee, I guess, is from Seattle, Washington, or it said Seattle, whatever, Washington brew. I don't know the name, but it was Seattle, Washington. And I'm just sitting here like, oh my gosh, why are the signs so strong? So fast forwarding, we get to the time, my mom's in the hospital, and, things were going up and down and stuff like that. And it just started to just go downhill. And it was weird, and I felt bad because though my mom was transitioning, the strong the in the center of my mind was Seattle, Washington, and I'm like, I don't understand. And I had to meditate on that. I had to talk to my higher power. I'm like, okay, my mom's in the hospital right now, so I'm thinking, okay, she has to get out of this because there is no way I can just go to Seattle, Washington, and my mom is still here. And my intuition was like, you're going to go. And I'm just like, okay, I don't understand. But it was strongly in my mind throughout everything that was going on. That trip was in my mind. Again, didn't understand it, kind of was battling it, but it was so strong. It was unwavering. So fast forwarding, I want to say it was October when it happened. Yeah. She passed, and we had, and when she transitioned and stuff like that, it was very quick. We had I think less than 4 hours to get her, get a funeral home involved. It was like everything was super fast. We had 4 hours to get her body from the hospital to all of that, getting that set up. And it was great seeing the family come together, all the connections and making things happen. So we, with the family, we had that. We had to figure out funeral arrangements. We wanted to get, through this process. We got all of this in a week. So before the funeral, so that weekend of her passing, I was talking to, I believe, my stepfather, and I was saying that, I don't know if I should go to Washington. And he basically said, no, you need to go, because during that process, I was doing my best to keep everyone strong and whatnot. And it was a lot of emotions from a lot of people, but it was just like, for me, I was just like, let's keep it together. Let's do what we got to do. and keep it together. I know this is going to hurt, but we have to put that to the side for the moment. So I stayed strong throughout the whole thing. But what helped with me staying strong is that my mom prepped me for her passing when I was a kid. But we'll get onto that later. As that happened, my stepfather and family took over and they told me, okay, you need to go to Washington and, you need to get away. And my mom's best friend, who's like my aunt, she said, you better go because your mom would be pissed if you didn't. So I went to Washington, and, as I got there, it hit me why I needed to go to this show, why I was so strong. All those signs were saying you needed to go. And it was because it was like I needed to get away for a bit because it was just it was a very strong moment. Like it was an intense moment. I did not expect my mother to transition. I was staying strong throughout the whole process. She was in the hospital for I think maybe over 2 weeks to a month, and even the first 2 weeks, people didn't even know. So it was like just that whole process, I had to stay strong because that's what she taught me. So it was just like when it was time for me to go on the trip, it was like, okay, you did your part. Now this is your time. Your mom transitioned. You need to have time for yourself. And that's what I did for my process. I had to go to Washington, and, it was very beautiful. I had a very beautiful experience. I enjoyed. And for me, for some of you who don't know, I can just connect with, I guess, like spirit or whatnot. And when I got settled, and it worked out because the people I had at Airbnb, they were never home. I only seen them once for the 4 days or 5 days that I was there. And in the silence, my mom spoke to me, and she was just reminding me of everything that she taught me and things like that. And at the time, because I had to come back, her funeral was going to be the day I came back or the day after I came back or something like that. And it was an emotional moment because it was just like, the little kid in me, like the inner child in me was just like, my mom is gone, like, what do I do? How do I move forward? Like, my mommy is gone. And, I had to have that. It's weird, but I meditate and I reflect and I talk to this inner child of mine. And I really had to sit down in meditation and talk to that inner child and say, hey, it's going to be okay. She taught us a lot. But, we have to, you have me, the older me, you have me, we're going to get through this and things like that. So I had to talk to the inner child, and it was like grabbing the inner child's hand, and it was just like, okay, we're going to get through this. And it was like my inner child was like looking at me, just kind of sad, but it was just like looking up like, okay, like, all right, we can do this. And another thing during that process is like, I was telling my mom, I was like, I'm really going to be, I don't really know what to do when I get to the funeral and I have to speak to everyone. I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to bring people up during this. Like, I know I'm good from what you taught me, but it's like, I'm going to have to come back to all of that, the other people, their sadness and things like that. And my mom told me, you can't control how other people are going to react and respond. All you can do is just say, and my mom told me actually what to say, which was great. She told me what to say during her process. She was just telling people, don't be sad, because she'd really be looking at y'all like y'all were crazy. Like, really, y'all really doing all this right now? And she was basically telling me, hey, like what I said earlier, take what that person taught you, whatever it was in the relationship, and share that with others. That way that person moves on. That way that person lives on, sorry. And she told me that during the Washington. And I said that during the time when I got back and I had to speak in front of people at the church and stuff like that. So that was, a very interesting process. So my process was that I had to get away to connect with my inner child, connect with my mother, to get away from everyone else and just really process it all. And it was a lot of reflection. It was a lot of time, but I really did have a great time at Washington, because I know some people thought I went to Washington for, vacation, which in the beginning, that's what I thought it was, but I didn't know that, it was my higher power setting things up for me to, get away, and I needed that. So that was my own process with handling my mother's transition. Now, I understand everyone is very different, and others are going to take it rough, but you have to let them handle it in their own way and get it out of their system. Now, if it gets dangerous with their life being in jeopardy, then of course you want to step in and you want to do what's necessary to avoid that. And when I was thinking of this and writing this down, my intuition really wanted me to share this with you all. Like I said, I like to keep things very blunt and honest. There was periods, in my past where there was people who passed, and there were some friends whose parents passed and things like that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, if my mom passed, I don't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. And then it kind of happened some more with other people. And then it had got to a point where I told my mom, I was like, to be so honest with you, Mom, because we talked about it. And I said, to be honest with you, Mom, if you ever were to pass away, I legit think I would just kill myself, because I don't think that I could move forward without you. Like, what is my world? What is life without my mom? And, at the time I was just like, I honestly think I would kill myself. And I had ways of how I would do it. It was just, I would look up like painless ways it wouldn't happen. And I told her, like, I would legit end my life if you were to die. And she got so mad at me. I'll never forget. She got so mad at me and said, don't you dare do that. She was like, I didn't teach you that. She's like, no, she's like, you're not going to do that. What you're going to do is, do what I tell you to do. If I do go, remember everything I taught you, live your life. I need you to be happy. I need you to move forward. I want you to live your life, because I wouldn't want you to do that. And of course, when my mom told me that, and it was like an emotional time, it hit home. It was like, okay, I won't do that. And, it was like, that was a turning point for me, because I was just being very honest. And I think if I did not have that conversation, I think I may have been close to doing that. But she talked to me, and, we had that. And, just to kind of talk a little bit more about that. One thing I will say, and I'm gonna be blunt honest, yes, I was strong, and still is. But what was hard was when my mom did transition, I did have a period in my life where it was just like, because everything I did, it was all to help my mom. Like, I always had this vision of, I wanted to, retire my mom early. I wanted her not to stress about money, things like that. And I had that vision of, and of just doing that and making sure my mom was set. And when she transitioned, it was just like it was a period where it was just like, okay, so what the very reason I was doing all of this was for my mom. And now that she's transitioned, it's just like, what's the point now, So I had that moment, but that's when she came in again, and she was just telling me, live your life. She reminded me, live your life, be happy. You have to move forward. You have to get through this. I taught you, all of the things she taught me. I taught you to be strong. I taught you to move forward. But one thing my mom did teach me, she did teach me to be strong, but what being strong does not mean that, don't handle your feelings or don't face it. It just means being strong and facing it and getting through it the best way that you can. So I wanted to really touch on that point. And I did, I faced it, and, now I'm just moving forward what she taught me. So the fourth point, the last point, is now when someone do tell you that that someone, loved one transition, you will probably want to bombard them by checking up on them. But I'm telling you, please ask them what they want, because we are all different. Now, I was thankful people checked up, but it was annoying the hell out of me because people kept saying the same thing. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm just like, no, it wasn't a loss. It was a gain. She taught me this. And I literally had to repeat that like over 70 times. And it got to a point where when people would just hit me up, I was just like, okay, thank you. Oh my God. Like I didn't have the strength to keep saying the same thing. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like, yes, I appreciate you, but it's just like, please stop. Like, I'm just so tired of the world hitting me up. Like, I was so happy when it was some time. And then we had people come over like almost every day afterwards. And it's just like, okay, let us have our home to ourselves. Give us time. Give me time, God damn it, to get used to my mom not physically being in the house. Like give me time. Like, and I know some people think other people don't want to be alone, but it's just like some of us, we do. Like, we need that, But that's why I want to say, ask the person, because I have talked with people who've lost others, and they would say, some people say, I enjoyed it when people, checked up on me. It helped the process. And that's what works for them. There's other people who just said, bro, leave me alone. Like, thank you, but don't keep asking me. And then there was me. It was just like, okay, this is kind of fresh for me. This is new, but it was just like, okay, I'm thankful. It shows that all of you care, but please, just, and I know it's hard because you don't really know what to do. So now I'm saying it. Just ask the person, what would you like me to do? Would you like me to check up on you? Or, just like, what works for you? You want someone to check up on you or not, And what helped with this, what helped me get to this point was when my uncle, he came over and he was just like, you know what? I'm not going to bombard you. I do care about you, but just know you can always talk to me because I get it. Everybody and their mama done came and checked up on you. I will let you have your space. You know how to reach me. And that was just like the first, was like, oh my gosh, yes. Me and my brother, and it happened, me and my brother were there. My brother was like, yes, someone gets it. And that is just something that I feel like a lot of people don't want to say out loud because they don't want to be an ass. But it's just like, I'm just going to be the one to communicate it. Ask the person, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to check up on you or do you not? And if not, you know how to reach me in the typical line. I'm here for you if you need me. And just leave it at that. Literally, guys, leave it at that. You're going to want to, even though they told you not to, but just do your best not to, Now, hopefully, this helps make talking about, we're going to say transition, not death. Hopefully. So yeah, hopefully this helps make talking about transition with someone less awkward, and it gives you a chance to give the person a positive perspective on the matter. Because when that person does tell you, you then have, that small window to really change their world, just in a positive way. It won't be dramatic, it could be. That's a turning point. It won't be maybe like huge, but it's just like for them, it's just like, whoa, I would have never expected that. They would have, thought you would have been like the usual. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm here for you, blah, blah, blah. No, you give that person that positive energy. And then just a message just for those who have lost someone, and maybe even recently, I'm going to tell you, it'll be hard, but you're going to want to move forward. And that person who did pass, they wouldn't want you to stay frozen. Take what they taught you and implement it in your life and share it with others. You want to honor it and you want to share it with the world. And in that way, that person, they stay immortal and they never die. And just personal things with that is my mom taught me love. My mom taught me strength and many more things. So when I do meet random strangers and meet random people, it is very rare that you will get, I guess people say the world is pretty cold, but I always say it's a matter of who you hanging around and what you looking at and your whole world and what you absorbing, because the world can be full of light and love. It just depends on your lenses and how you look at the world and, those you associate with, but we're going to leave that for another topic. But apparently love is very rare, especially given to a random stranger. And when I meet a person, I at least try to show some form of, that genuine love. Like, you're a human being, someone cares about you. I try to show that because that's what my mom gave to me. And I seen her do that to other people, even when she was tired, even when she ain't like the person, she did that. My mom would tell me, oh, I don't like them, and she would tell me why, something that they did that was pretty messed up. But she was, my mom was a very, she was a Christian woman, and, she loved her God amazingly. And she did her best to share that love. Like, I love that person. They're a human being, that's what God would want me to do. And she did that. And so my mom showing that love, and she was that example. I try to do that with other people. Now, the strength part, my mom prepared me again. My mom prepared me for, her death. Not saying that she knew, but when I was younger and I was a kid, she would tell me constantly, if something, God forbid, if something happens, you need to be happy. You need to live your life. You need to move forward. Do the things you would want, I would want you to do, because I don't want you to do nothing crazy and things like that, because I taught you better. And she would drive that in, and it stayed home. So that strength now, I share that with other people who may be lacking in that strength, because we all have moments where, we're strong one minute and something happens and that strength just kind of goes down, and we need that strength, from others. So I try to share that strength when people tell me, oh, this is happening or that is happening, or I don't feel this. I like to give them that reinforcement, like, no, and I like to look at them for who they are. Like, no, you're good at this. You're good at that. You've always been able to handle this. You can do that. Just handle it in this situation. Because in so doing that, I'm taking what my mother has taught me. And in that way, my mother is immortal and she lives on. And this is something that I can give you a piece of what I was taught from her, and then something that I can share with my kids. So I see how my kids, when I ever have them, because everybody wants me to have them now, but whenever I have them, I can see that, through them. And even just without kids, just the friends that I have, when I share that and they, work on whatever, it's just like, I thank you, Mom, for that, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to help this person. So yes, that's the things you want to focus on, guys. And again, yes, it's going to be hard because you're not used to them not being here physically. But if you just, open up and you just allow yourself to focus on the things that they taught you, I'm going to keep saying that. You focus on the things that they taught you and, live the life that they would want you to live, you being happy and whatnot. It'll get better day by day. And, to be honest with you, yes, there's some days that it's hard, for me. I dream every night, and every night, I have dreams where I guess I'm in some other world and my mom is alive there. And, we laugh and we talk and whatnot. And then when I wake up, it's just like, for 1 second, it's like, oh, my mom. But then it's like the second second, it's like, oh, wow, my mom transitioned, she's not here physically. And in the beginning, that was kind of like, it hurt because it's just like, I just had this dream about my mom and we had this good time. And then I wake up, it's like, oh, wow, reality, I'm here. And it's like, that took me some time to get used to. But now it's just, I have those dreams. I'm like, what? I'm glad I'm able to dream about her. And then when I wake up and it's just like, I keep moving forward and I keep getting better, because I know if my mom was here right now and I was not doing the stuff I was supposed to, I really did not want to go through that trouble at all. So that also motivates me too. I really didn't want to get yelled at, and I really did not want that look that she gave me, because I just felt like a little kid. I felt like, though I'm 6'5", I felt like I was shrunk to like 4'2", and it was just like, okay, she's gonna beat me. let me get my ish together. So there you go, guys. That is this podcast. I know this was kind of like a bit general, but again, like I said in the beginning, I don't feel like a lot of people are really taught how to go through that or how to help others with that. And I want to be the first one, if I'm not, oh well, to at least help you guys get through that, because we're all surrounded by people. People aren't going anywhere. We love people. Some of us can't stand them, but hey, we got to work with them. And, someone around you may be going through something, and you can, it won't be awkward, and you can share something positive with them. So I hope this helps you guys. This was, I would say, the most rawest podcast I have done. So again, I thank you for listening. I hope you take one thing or two things out of this and move forward with it. And even if you have someone that you lost, hopefully it's not uncomfortable for you, but you can look at what you gained from them and share it with others. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing Tuesday. You all are awesome. And I just want to say thank you again for constantly taking the time out of your amazing lives to check out my podcast. And also, I just want to thank just all of you just for all of the feedback and the energy that you give, because of you guys, it just makes me excited to share more. So that being said, I will talk to you all next Tuesday, and you all have a fantastic day. Later.